Welcome to the deep dive. We've just gone through quite a stack of fascinating sources, all really digging into one big question. What are those non-obvious secrets, the internal ones, that set financially successful people apart? We're not talking stock tips today, definitely not politics. Our mission is decoding that mental architecture, the mindset that builds lasting success.
That's exactly right. I mean, most people tend to look at the external stuff, don't they? Who someone knew, maybe what school they attended, or how much money they started with. But what these sources consistently show is that success, real success, it's an inside job.
An inside job. I like that.
Yeah. It starts with that internal discipline, certain mindset shifts, and importantly, specific daily actions, things that compound, often invisibly, over years. So we're diving into how these people actually organize their thinking and their time.
Right. So the core idea, the thesis here is that your current results, whatever they are basically just a symptom of your internal operating system. And if you want different outcomes, well, you've got to change the programming first.
Precisely.
We've sort of boiled down the material into three main areas for this deep dive. First, mastering that mindset foundation. Second, building the daily system, the habits. And third, strategic investments, but maybe not just money.
Exactly. Time, learning, relationships too. But let's start with that first piece, the mental foundation. It's so critical because honestly, everything else flows from it. The sources really hammer this home. Your mind is your number one asset.
Your mind is the asset, not your job, not your degree necessarily.
Correct. Your financial future, ultimately, it's shaped more by your thoughts, your beliefs, the questions you ask yourself, than your current paycheck.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting then, because the first asset you need isn't money, it's awareness.
Yes, awareness. Most of us, we carry around these limiting beliefs, things we picked up somewhere, maybe from childhood, maybe just society. Ideas like, oh, money's really hard to make, or you need connections, or even, I'm just not the kind of person who gets wealthy.
Rich people are greedy, you have to struggle, those kinds of things.
Exactly those. And they aren't just like fleeting thoughts. They become these deep-seated beliefs, almost like a low-frequency hum in the background that keeps the brakes on your potential.
So successful people aren't just naturally positive thinkers.
Not necessarily just positive, they're intentional. They use processes, you could call it cognitive reframing maybe. They actually challenge these internal scripts. They look at a belief and ask, okay, what's the actual cost of me holding on to this? Does the evidence even support it? And if a belief limits action, well, it's got to go. They discard it.
I found that idea of focusing on control really practical. It's almost like mental efficiency.
It really is. Or like managing your cognitive load. Successful people, they seem to allocate almost zero mental energy to things they just cannot change.
Like other people's opinions or the market going up and down or, mistakes they made last year.
Right. All that external noise. They focus only on the levers they can pull. Their time, their decisions, their learning, their habits.
And that focus changes the questions they ask themselves, doesn't it?
Huge difference. Reactive thinking, the kind that just fuels anxiety, it sounds like. Why is this happening to me? It's very victim-focused.
Yeah.
But the growth mindset, the wealthy mindset, asks, okay, this is a situation, so how can I grow from this? How can I solve it? How do I pivot? That tiny shift from victim to agent, it creates the space you need to choose a better response.
Okay, but let me push back slightly here. Based on the sources, this focus on long-term vision, sacrificing now for later, isn't that easier if you already have a safety net? How does someone worried about next month's rent make that shift?
That's a really fair question, and the sources do touch on it. It definitely takes grit. But the argument is less about your current income level and more about the mechanism itself, delayed gratification. It's a calculated trade-off, even on a small scale.
So give me an example.
Okay, maybe instead of spending, say, $50 on takeout or some impulse buy that gives you a quick hit of pleasure, you deliberately allocate that same $50 towards, I don't know, an online course, or maybe just automatically into savings or an investment. The successful mindset sees the takeout as like a debt against your future self. The course or the saving, that's an asset. It generates a future return.
So every dollar is a choice with compound interest potential, basically.
You got it.
Yeah.
It makes the decision filter much clearer. It's not just wishful thinking. It's a daily operational choice.
Which ties into the last mindset piece you mentioned, confidence.
Right. And the sources are clear. Confidence isn't something you're born with. You don't inherit it, you earn it. By doing the hard things, You don't wait to feel confident before you start. That's backwards. You build it by deliberately stepping into discomfort, taking calculated risks, and following through. Each time you do that, you prove to yourself, okay, I can handle this. Courage comes first, then the confidence follows.
That's a powerful reframe. Courage first. Okay, let's bridge that mental prep into the real world. Segment 2. Building the daily system. This sounds maybe less exciting. Habits, routines.
Huh, maybe less glamorous, yeah. But honestly, this is where the magic actually happens. In the quiet consistency. Small actions, repeated day in, day out. The sources couldn't be clearer. Consistency trumps intensity, every single time.
Like the marathon runner example you used earlier.
Exactly. Someone who does one massive workout once a month, they're going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
But the person who does just a little bit, but every single day, that's who builds momentum. Success is the compound effect of these, frankly, boring but consistent decisions.
What are some of these boring essentials?
Things like quickly reviewing where your money went last week, planning your top, say, 3 priorities for tomorrow before you finish today, and maybe the biggest one, actually following through on the small promises you make to yourself. That builds integrity.
And a key leverage point seems to be guarding that routine, especially the morning routine.
Oh, absolutely critical. Think about it. If the first hour of your day is reactive, you grab your phone, scroll news, check email, just consume. You're essentially letting the outside world dictate your mental state and priorities right from the start.
You're outsourcing control.
Perfectly put. High achievers, they use the morning to generate energy and intention, not just consume stuff. They set things up the night before to remove friction. If reading's the goal, the book's open. If journaling, the pen's there. They start the day by doing something meaningful, which feeds back into that earned confidence we talked about.
Yeah, and this control, this intention, it needs to carry into the workday too, right? Protecting focus.
Definitely. The sources really highlight the power of saying no. It sounds simple, but it's a huge productivity lever. We often think success means saying yes to everything, every meeting, every request.
Yeah, FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right. But the truly successful, they know their main job is protecting time for high-value, deep work. That means saying no strategically to low-value demands and distractions.
And avoiding the multitasking trap.
Oh, yeah. Multitasking is basically a myth. It's just switching context really fast, and that shreds your focus and efficiency. They intentionally block out time for deep work. They figure out the 1 or 2 things that really move the needle and dedicate their best energy there. Everything else gets deferred, delegated, or just deleted. If you actually track where your attention goes for a week, it's usually pretty shocking.
Which leads us straight into tracking. This feels like where a lot of good intentions fall apart. People rely on feelings.
They do. I feel like I worked hard. I feel like I'm saving money. But feelings can be misleading, right? Success, especially financial success, it needs clarity, precision. It doesn't happen by hope. You absolutely have to track what matters.
And it's not just about tracking dollars and cents in a budget.
That's part of it, sure. But the really insightful tracking is often behavioral. Yes, track income and expenses, but also track things like how many hours did I spend this week on focused learning? Or how many times did I successfully say no to something that wasn't aligned with my goals? Where did my impulse spending actually happen?
So tracking isn't about judging yourself, it's about getting honest data.
Exactly. It's data collection, pure and simple. It shows you the patterns that your emotions or your wishful thinking might hide. The sources suggest setting aside a specific time, maybe Sunday evening, for a quick review. Not just the numbers, but the behaviors behind them.
What worked, what didn't?
Precisely. The process is reflect, adjust, execute. What worked? Keep doing it. What didn't? Okay, what one specific change will I make this week? Then you go do it. It breaks that cycle of just reacting to life and puts you back in the driver's seat, making intentional adjustments.
That clarity is powerful. Okay, so we have the mindset, we have the daily system. Where do we strategically deploy that focus? And yes, the money. Segment 3, strategic investments. And the first big one, according to the materials, is learning.
Yes, and this requires its own mindset shift too. You have to stop seeing learning as like homework you finished years ago. It needs to be viewed as an ongoing financial investment. Your capacity to earn is directly tied to your capacity to learn and provide value.
And the flip side, the cost of not learning.
Stagnation. And it happens faster than people realize, often quietly. The world changes, skills become outdated. If you're not actively upgrading your own software, you're not just standing still, you're actually falling behind. The sources point out that the most successful people are often obsessive self-educators.
Studying things outside their main job.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Things like communication, psychology, negotiation, leadership, skills that give them leverage. This continuous learning, it builds capability, which builds certainty, which then fuels that courage to take action we talked about earlier.
Okay, let's talk about spending money then, strategically. The sources contrast spending on, like, immediate comfort retail therapy versus spending with purpose. How do you apply that filter?
You have to internalize the idea that every dollar you spend is literally a vote for the kind of future you're building. That daily coffee, that subscription you don't use, that impulse purchase. It's a vote for short-term comfort over potentially long-term growth or freedom. The filter is asking, before you spend, is that helping me grow? Is it buying back my time, improving my health, or is it just a distraction?
So purposeful spending isn't just about being frugal. It can include investing in things.
Absolutely. It definitely includes books, courses, coaching, yes, but also things that provide leverage. Maybe it's software that automates tasks you hate. Maybe it's hiring someone, a virtual assistant or cleaner, to free up your mental energy for higher value activities. These aren't expenses in the traditional sense. They're investments designed to buy back your time and focus. You stop feeling guilty about spending when it's aligned with growth.
Makes sense. And the final investment area, perhaps the most critical external one, people. Your network, the power of proximity.
Non-negotiable, according to almost all the sources. You've heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, Jim Rohn.
Right. And that includes their mindset, their ambitions, their financial habits, everything. So you have to be incredibly intentional about curating your inner circle. Surround yourself with builders, people who, yes, support your vision, but crucially, also challenge you.
Not just cheerleaders, then.
Definitely not just cheerleaders who nod politely. You need people who give you honest feedback, who hold you accountable, who stretch your thinking, and who operate at a level that pulls you up.
So the advice is, don't aim to be the smartest person in the room.
Exactly. If you are, you're probably in the wrong room for growth. Seek out rooms, conversations, relationships that challenge your assumptions. And sometimes this means setting tough boundaries. It might mean creating distance from relationships that consistently drain your energy or normalize mediocrity. Protecting your focus and resolve is key. Your circle should make it harder for you to fail.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. Okay, so wrapping this all together, success is built from the inside out. It starts with intentional thought.
Followed by consistent, daily habits.
And then strategic investments in learning, leverage, and people.
And threading through all of that
Yeah.
is resilience. The sources emphasize this too. Life will throw curveballs. There will be setbacks, failures. That's guaranteed. But the commitment is to use failure as data, as a teacher, not as a reason to quit. It's about taking radical ownership of your response. That's how you shift from being passive to being the active creator.
Radical ownership. Okay, so if that means no excuses, taking full responsibility for what happens next, here's a final thought for you to consider. What initiative, what opportunity you could create, or what investment in yourself are you putting off right now? Why? Are you maybe waiting for someone else, a mentor, a partner, the right time, some external validation to tell you you're ready?
Yeah.
Could you actually start today just with the belief you have right now that could fundamentally change your trajectory over the next 5 years?
Don't wait for permission from the outside. Take that first step.
Thanks for diving deep with us.